Welcome to this explainer. We spend so much of our lives just trying to be stronger, faster, and smarter. We try desperately to cover up or completely eliminate our flaws. But what if our greatest personal limitations might actually be our greatest strengths? Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating paradox, one that literally flips our entire understanding of human potential completely upside down. It sounds totally counterintuitive, I know, but as we look closely at this concept today, you'll see that the very things holding us back might actually be the exact spaces where true power enters our lives.
Okay, let's dive right into this. To understand this paradox, we really have to look at a very specific, very visceral metaphor, the thorn. A thorn is sharp, it's piercing, and when it catches you, it is just a harsh, unavoidable reality. We all experience these thorns in life. They're the limitations, the physical ailments, the circumstantial barriers, or those deep emotional pains that we simply cannot seem to shake no matter how hard we try.
And the tricky thing is, these thorns are so often hidden right in the shadows. They represent those agonizing internal struggles that we desperately wish we could just pull out and toss away. You know the exact feeling? It's that chronic issue or that personal limitation that no one else truly understands, mostly because it's buried so deep within your own personal experience. It's this constant, nagging reminder of our own fragility that we wake up and fight against every single day.
So I want you to just pause for a second and personally reflect on this. What is the thorn in your life right now? Really think about it. What is your absolute ultimate limitation? Is it a physical health issue, a crushing financial burden, a relationship struggle, or maybe just a deep, lingering sense of inadequacy in a specific area of your work? Keep that specific limitation right at the forefront of your mind as we move forward, because it's the exact canvas we are going to be talking about today.
Section 1, Thorns in Our Lives.
Let's ground this deep theological concept in our everyday reality, because this isn't just some abstract idea, it's something we literally bump into from the moment our alarm goes off. Think about it. We constantly wish for 28-hour days because we just don't have enough time to finish everything we need to do. We rely incredibly heavily on modern tech to break our limits, only to hit a massive wall of frustration when we run out of AI tokens right before a major deadline. Or take this one, getting a single eyelash stuck in your eye. It is literally the tiniest, most microscopic limitation, yet it causes agonizing pain. You blink, you wash your eye, you rub it, but it just won't budge. It completely paralyzes your focus until you finally track down a mirror and tweezers to pull it out. Even the absolute smallest limitation has the power to entirely halt our human strength.
And this struggle for relief, it's universal. It goes all the way back through history. Take the Apostle Paul, a giant of historical faith. He experienced this profound pain. 2,000 years ago, he wrote about having a massive thorn in his flesh. Now, scholars debate what this actually was, maybe a severe eye disease, partial blindness, or something else entirely. But the point is, it was agonizing. And Paul didn't just accept it passively. No way. He begged God 3 separate times to completely remove this thorn. He pleaded to be cured so he could go back to being fully capable.
Section 2. Sufficient grace.
When Paul begged for that thorn to be removed, the answer he got completely changed how we view our own limitations. God didn't take it away. Instead, he delivered this mind-blowing response. "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." He offered a completely different paradigm, where the weakness itself becomes the exact conduit for divine strength.
So the crucial point here is how we actually define this grace. Grace is not an escape route. It is not God suddenly airlifting us out of the dark valley. Rather, it is God's provision and presence walking through that dark valley right beside us. It's the strength supplied to us exactly at the moment our own human strength just completely runs out. The limitation remains, yes, for sure, but we're no longer empty-handed within it.
Section 3, Power Through Weakness.
And this brilliantly illustrates our point. If grace fills the gaps of our limitations, then history should show us that God actually prefers to use flawed, limited people rather than perfect ones. Let's look at this historical proof. When Moses was called to a monumental task, his immediate excuse was his limitation. He couldn't speak well. He stuttered and felt totally inadequate as a communicator. Yet he was the precise instrument used to lead the entire nation of Israel out of Egypt. Then there's Gideon. Gideon lacked all confidence. He was the weakest member of the weakest tribe, and his army was stripped down to almost nothing. But against all odds, he defeated the massive Midianite army, not through his own military might, but through reliance on a power greater than himself. And consider Peter. Peter notoriously failed. He doubted, he literally sank in the water when his faith faltered, and he denied his closest friend. Yet, Despite those glaring failures, he became the foundational pillar of the early church. The contrast across these stories is just dramatic. Massive divine tasks accomplished exclusively through perceived human weaknesses.
But hey, this isn't just ancient history. To truly grasp the emotional gravity of this paradox today, we really have to look at the staggering modern-day testimony of Joni Eareckson Tada.
Joni's timeline is profound, and we need to pause and just take it all in. At just 17 years old, with a vibrant, active, and bright future ahead of her, she was paralyzed from the neck down in a tragic diving accident. In the devastating aftermath, she prayed agonizingly for physical healing. She begged to use her hands and her legs again, but the physical healing didn't come. Now jump to 60 years later. She has spent 6 entire decades in a wheelchair. And in that time, she has built and led a massive global ministry that helps disabled people all over the world. The mind-blowing conclusion she reaches, when asked by a young boy if she would go back in time and tell her 17-year-old self not to jump into that water, is no. She wouldn't trade her paralysis if it meant losing the incredible global impact God built precisely through her extreme weakness. Her limitation literally became her greatest, most powerful instrument.
Section 4. Stepping out in faith.
That level of endurance is just awe-inspiring. But how do we actually apply that to our own lives? Recognizing our weakness is one thing, but we still have to take action. We have to step out despite our inadequacies. Think of Peter stepping out of the boat onto the water. He was completely terrified, bound by human limitations, and heavily aware of his own inadequacies. But active faith was still required. He had to physically step out of the boat. We cannot wait until we feel perfect or limitless to take action, because frankly, that day is never going to come. We have to act while we are still carrying the thorn.
Let's move to and see how this builds our final perspective. Consider the dark clouds in our lives. They represent the heavy, imposing limitations that seem to just block out the sun. But God's glorious light is specifically designed to break through those exact dark clouds. Think about it. Without the dark skies of our limitations, we wouldn't be able to witness the brilliant, illuminating contrast of grace stepping in to sustain us.
And this brings our whole metaphorical arc to a beautiful close. The thorn remains. Your limitations, your struggles, your daily frustrations, they might not magically disappear today or tomorrow, but the thorny branch is no longer just a symbol of pain. It becomes a beautiful vessel bathed in the golden light of grace and purpose. The limitation itself becomes the very stage where power is displayed.
Which leaves us with this final, absolutely vital question to ponder based on everything we've uncovered in this explainer today. Will you allow your weakness to be the space for God's power? What if, starting right now, you stopped fighting so bitterly against your limitations and instead started offering them up as a canvas for a much greater purpose? Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I'll see you next time.